Hello, lovely people. Thank you guys all so much for joining me today. I am going to go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves if you don't mind, starting with those who are single. If you could go ahead and turn on your cameras. Yeah, you're welcome to unmute, introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Morgan Isco. I am single. I have only ever been in one relationship in my entire life, and I'm not in it now. And that's just about it. I'm very awkward. But I say it's more adorable.
Oh, hi, I'm Physios5 or Busy for short. I'm also single, not ready to mingle. I got out of a 2.5 year relationship 2 months ago, so hey.
I'm M Hunter 347, but you can just call me Hunter. I'm single, believe it or not. And I've never been in a relationship.
Yeah, I'm Dizzy Dogs. You can call me Dizzy. I've previously been in 2 relationships, but I'm currently single.
Now, if those who are in a relationship would like to turn on their cameras and introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Fruity. I'm Fruity's Live.
Hi guys, my name is Serena Paris. I'm a full-time content creator. I'm a silly goose. I like to say bad words. I am in a relationship, very, very happy. We've been together for 5 years, and I finally just posted him on Facebook this past week.
Oh my god! Oh, we have fun. Happy for you.
I am Erin Wren. I am in a relationship. Shocker. We've been together a year and 3 months. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Napo or Napo Ellis. I've been in my current relationship for about 6 months now.
This amazing cast has decided to join me for this panel. All beautiful, beautiful people. And we are basically just going to be discussing, but I'm going to ask those who agree to turn on their cameras and we can talk it out. And they'll have a few minutes to talk about it, and then I'll introduce the disagreeers and they can kind of speak their mind on that. This prompt is going to be single people have more fun. If you agree, please turn on your camera. Let's hear from Morgan.
I am very, very split on this fact here.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I was ever in a relationship, I would have said that people in a relationship have more fun. But then I was in a relationship for a while, and it was pretty great until it just didn't work out. And so there was a long period of time where I was in that relationship, but I wasn't doing there was no reciprocation or anything like that. So since finally, being out of the relationship and I'm like healing and stuff now and realizing that a part of, figuring things out is I'm allowed to flirt with anybody I want at the same time. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Having all these random people be like, hey, you look amazing. And I'm like, thank you. Like, that's pretty fun. And I would have felt terrible. You don't do that if you're in a relationship. You don't just, like, flirt with whoever. So, I'm just saying, like, being allowed, like, just, flirting with literally anybody, whatever. It's really freaking fun.
Disagreeers, go ahead, turn on your cameras. If you guys have anything to say, speak your mind.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like it is fun to be single. But at the same time it's like being in a relationship and like I don't know, maybe it's my grand old age of 20, but it's like that sense of stability. Like after the fun, you have that person to go back to and have that like flat of just like, hey, I'm here with you now. But also at the same time, like, yeah, you can go out more. You don't have to worry about like this person, like messaging this person. But I don't know. I think fun is a very like relative term because like you could have fun with them and you could have fun going out with them, but I think it depends on the person that you're with.
So like everything, like when I was single, what I found fun, like going to the theater, going to watch like my favorite sport. I'm now doing that with the person like who I love the most, and I'm just like having as much fun as I was like when single. Like now we have like that similar interest, it's now like fun to have someone to like go to like the theater with or something. Like I'm slowly introducing like my partner into like ice hockey, which is my favorite sport. It's now something we can like talk over and stuff, and it's just like as much more fun as if like I was single.
Um, for me personally, I feel like these questions are always so hard for me to answer because I feel like they're just so open ended.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of depends, like, are you in a healthy relationship? Because a lot of people who are in unhealthy relationships, they would say single people have more fun. So I think that this is a question you have to sit down and really think about, like, am I with the correct person? Am I having fun with this person? Does this person have a lot of green flags? Do we do a lot of the same things together? So I think it really depends on who you are and who your significant other is. But I do hope that if anyone out there is dating someone, I hope you guys are having a great time and that you guys do a lot of stuff together. But I do hope that you guys also find different things that y'all don't always want to do together. That way, you still have some hobbies that are your own. I think that's very important.
Doing it together makes it so much more special.
Absolutely.
I'm happy with my current relationship status. Agreeers, go ahead, turn those cameras on.
I mean, I don't know. I like my partner. It's kind of that simple. Like if you like, as long as you're happy with yourself, then you're able to be happy with somebody else, and your whole like life doesn't rely on that specific person making you happy. They are just kind of an additional part of your life that betters it, and that's what my partner is for me. I will say, at some points, I was definitely that one person who was like, you would see a couple, you're just like, I hope you guys trip walking down the stairs.
For me, I'm very happy. I've been with my significant other, like I said, for 5 years now. I've only been in 2 serious relationships, and he's very green flaggy. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, obviously within reason, because boundaries are super important. But he lets me be my own person, and my ex boyfriend was not someone like that. Very controlling, very red flaggy. And you have to learn, like, in every situation that you go through in life, whether you're single or if you're in a relationship, you have to like come to an understanding what you are okay with and what you are not okay with. And I think sometimes people forget, like, you get to decide when you've had enough, and sometimes you have to walk away. And I'm really glad I walked away from my ex, and I do have a partner that I'm happy with now.
I think with me, my boyfriend is like my best friend, so like I always have someone who I can go to. If like I'm having a bad day, I'm like, hey, like this and this has gone on. Can we like maybe hang out and do something together? Like we watch movies pretty much almost every night together. It's just like whilst I'm in bed, like a little like wind down thing. Like we both do stuff we find fun together. Like we will watch his old YouTube videos and we'll both sit there cracking out laughing. So not only is it like having my boyfriend be my boyfriend, it's also like I have a best friend. I have someone who can relate to me.
Well, I mean, um, I'm currently happy with like my status right now because of the fact that I don't know. I felt like a lot of like my past like relationship. I was always so worried. Was fun in the relationship, and it's like you can have fun in a relationship, and single life isn't always like the best because yeah, it gets lonely at night. But I have people to talk to. I hang out with people, and it's always interesting to talk to new people. And I felt like having him. We had completely different like schedules, so I wasn't able to like be there for him as much as like I would have wanted to. And so now it's like I'm happy that we were able to find that common ground of we need to like split. So I'm currently happy, even though I joke about being single and alone.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think people need to be okay with being by themselves too. I think sometimes
Yeah.
people are so used to being with someone that they don't always know who they are, and it sounds like you're in that situation where you're like, okay, well, I'm finding out who I am right now, and I think that's really awesome of you.
Like with my last relationship, I was like very dependent on right. I need to like fit my schedule to fit with theirs. So it was like streaming early in the morning. So then by the time they wake up, I'm completely free and ready for like the day to spend with them. Staying up late at night just to talk to them. But I think it's just like important to like know like you're your own person. You don't have to be that like codependent on someone else. Like, yeah, it's nice to have them there, but you don't have to have like them with you 24/7.
My boyfriend's pretty cool.
He alright, I guess.
That's all.
He's not Riley Page, but he's alright.
He's not Riley Page. He's not Riley Page. But my boyfriend could be Riley Page.
Oh, and on that note, let's bring the disagreeers up. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say and why you may not be happy with your relationship status.
It's not like I'm unhappy per se with my relationship status. It's just like I wouldn't say I'm happy that I'm single. It's kind of just like a neutral ground. Like it's, I don't know, that kind
How
of
long
thing.
have you been single for?
Like 5-6 months maybe.
I'm not like, oh, I feel like this kind of contradicts with like the last thing that I said. Because, I did state that, people who are single, like, I think they have a lot more, like, fun, so to say. But, like, as someone who was, I was single for a long, long, long time. I was homeschooled through all of high school, half of middle school. So I was never in a relationship I wasn't in a relationship until, like, last year. And it was really great until it really wasn't. And so being out of a relationship, I'm definitely glad that I had the good and the bad, so I can, like, learn more about what I'm okay with and what I'm not. And now that I'm out of the relationship, I know what it's like to have been in one and not have one. But now that I've, like, had time to process and stuff, yeah, of course I'd like to be in a relationship again. I'm very, in a healthy way, I'm very attention seeking. And so that kind of attention that you get in a healthy relationship is something that I very much do enjoy and things like that. So although I'm happy with myself and who I am and, the learned confidence I've gained and stuff, I would definitely like to be in a relationship. So, yeah.
For me, it's more of a thing of being upset with the fact that I am unable to get into a relationship while everybody I went to school with and everybody all my family members are all getting married, having kids, and doing their own thing, and I can't even get a girlfriend, no matter how hard I've tried.
I don't think that says anything bad, like, on your part, though, either. But I do understand where you're coming from. My next prompt is... I have high standards when it comes to who I'm in a relationship with. Or who my partner is.
For me personally, I feel like with my first boyfriend, and I know I kind of just talked about it a little bit, but he taught me a lot of things that I did not want. We were young. It was that high school sweetheart vibes. I swore I was going to marry him type of vibes. But he ended up being very controlling. And I've done modeling and acting and content creation since I was 14, 15. And he didn't want me to do any of that. He was like, no, don't do that. Don't post on Instagram. Don't post on anything. And there ended up being a horrible situation. We broke up, luckily. But I told myself, like, I would never want my little sister to be treated like that. And moving forward, I've always had that thought, like, even if it's like a friend doing something shitty to me or something like that, like, I'm like, if I wouldn't want my little sister to be treated like this, I'm not going to take it from a family member. I'm not going to take it from a friend, and I'm sure shit not going to take something like that from a significant other who's supposed to love me, respect me, treat me correctly. And not that, like, fights and arguments don't happen, because you are going to fight with your siblings, you're going to fight with your family, you're going to fight with your friends, you are going to fight with your significant other, but your fights have to be worth something more than something that's just so basic and generic, and I have told myself I'm going to have high standards, and my boyfriend exceeds them always, and it always makes me so happy to just be able to look at him and be like, thank you for all that you do. I think it's super important to make sure that you're happy with who you're dating.
A lot of people will say they have high standards, and it's just wanting the general level of respect. I feel like I have high standards because, I need a lot more mental, like, anxiety based help in certain And not everyone will understand that. I mean, that is just general. Not everyone is equipped / has the past experience to know how to navigate it. And luckily, I have a boyfriend who would bend over backwards to just make sure I'm okay, and I would do the same for him, you know? And so it's just having that mutual high standards for each other and having your self-respect to have standards for yourself, I feel, as well.
You can be picky because that's someone you are going to spend the rest of your life with, ideally. And so they should be the way that you like would expect them to be.
Yeah, kind of going off of what Morgan said, if I could give advice to anyone, because like I said, I've only been in 2 serious relationships. I've never really been able to like date around and find what I want. But I think with the standards, I think people, and I know this is kind of like shitty advice, but like don't date around in like a bad way. But I think sometimes people should date around and see what you do like. Because I feel like sometimes people get with one person and they think that that's who they want to be with forever, and then they realize that's not who I want to be with at all. And the only way to really find out who you like and who you want to be with is taking time and dating around and seeing other people's personalities.
Because I learned so many things like I didn't know that I wasn't okay with until I was in a relationship where it was happening. And I realized I was like, and I didn't even realize I wasn't okay with it until we were out of the relationship. And I was like, that really bothered me. And I didn't know that before. So I definitely think that was like definitely great, because if I did end up being with that person for the rest of my life, I would have been very unhappy. And I was devoted. Like I was not gonna be unloyal or whatever. But because we broke up, I was able to see that wasn't okay. So
And I feel like a lot of people in relationships, if they don't have high standards, they will let a lot slide. And even if you have high standards, you're gonna let something slide. It's part of, you're not going to like everything that your partner is doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not gonna
This
happen.
is such a good conversation. I'm loving this. I'm digging
and-
this.
Kind of along the lines of what Morgan said, I feel like I had like lower-ish standards, but then after getting out of my first relationship and realizing that there were things that I was just like blatantly uncomfortable with and did not want to say anything because I didn't want to like make my partner sad. I realized that like I shouldn't have to I shouldn't have to feel like I am gonna upset them and that something bad is gonna happen and that it can't just be talked out. Like I should be able to speak when I'm uncomfortable and things like that, and they should be able to respect it. And I feel like, especially with like relationship things, it's like you're with that person and they need to be able to respect the specific different things about you that like might not be exactly what they want, kind of thing. And by that I don't mean like in a big way what they don't want, but like general gist, what you know. And another thing that's like kind of difficult for me personally is that like I'm demisexual, and so like I feel like a lot of people kind of want to have like sexual attraction kind of thing, whereas for me I don't really get that until later into a relationship, or like the more I know someone. And I feel like I kind of have to be picky with people who are able to wait, kind of thing.
Maybe now I have I don't know. Before I didn't have high standards, and I kind of wish that I did. Because like pre like relationship, like I didn't get on the internet until like COVID hit. So that was like when I turned like 17, and I didn't really learn like anything about the internet until like 18. So I was just confused. And so it took a lot of just being on the internet, and learning from friends that have had experience to be able to be like, hey, I need to start setting high standards. But that was like, now I think I have an idea, but before it's like I've been used before, I've been manipulated before, but it's just like I don't wish it upon anyone, but it was a learning experience for me personally that I was like, oh shit, that happened. And it took like a year for me to be like, that happened. So now I maybe have high standards. We'll see in the next relationship.
I don't think I have high standards. I'm kind of desperate. Just don't be an asshole.
Obviously, like I have standards, but I don't feel like they're high standards, like compared to like what other people's like standards are. It's just like it doesn't. I don't think I have like really high standards compared to like other people. I'm just pretty happy with like as long as they're nice and not like a dick.
So I will say, to be fair, I feel like most of us for the current age, like 2024, we all have high standards because everybody's standards are kind of like not. I wouldn't say us, but like a lot of people's in general are like very much on the floor. They're just kind of like say hi to me. That's my standards. And so I feel like anything more than that is having high standards. Like my standards are basically just don't cheat, don't lie, don't try to manipulate me, and be open to trying new things. And like don't hate red pandas. It's very simple. Like
It's kind of sad that those things are kind of almost seen as high standards when really it feels like the bare minimum.
As long as I love my pets. Marry
And you
me.
gotta like Taylor Swift for me.
Exactly.
You gotta like Taylor Swift.
This is the next prompt. I would change myself for my partner. Go ahead. I want to hear from Nepo.
so yes, I would change my clothes for my partner.
Okay, so like you do end up changing with a partner because you're learning each other and you're growing with each other because everything's forever going to be in the past, every second's in the past, and so you're always going to be changing. And I feel like a lot of people can and have changed for the better in a relationship, and you learn about yourself and you learn, hey, don't do that, that's a shitty thing to do, and you learn from it. And if you don't fix it, fuck them.
Wonderful. Alright, disagreeers, you guys are welcome to go ahead. Turn your cameras on. Love to hear from you guys.
My best friend's mom. I had like this discussion with her like right around when me and my ex first broke up. And so technically I'm being like very slight with this question. But like she once told me, she said, you can't expect that someone will change for you in a relationship. Because like obviously some things they can change, but it can't be for you. Because if they actually are going to change like something that is deep rooted inside of them, like maybe a habit that they do or something like that, they can be motivated by the fact that you would want them to change, but it has to be inside of them or they actually won't change. They can temporarily like do it for a little while, but if they really really want to change who they are, they have to have a deep rooted like deep inside like actual shift and change to actually make a difference. Because I feel like lots of relationships, they can be like, of course I can change this for you, and like maybe they'll do it for like a month or so, but they have to make the decision themselves or they aren't actually going to change. Obviously the I'll do this for you sounds really great, but I believe that there has to be a deep rooted change in decision in their own head of, oh, I think that I should change this. Like their reasoning can be fine, but they have to come to that decision themselves.
I have mommy and daddy issues, and I'm a huge people pleaser. I want anyone and everyone to love me. But when it comes to a significant other, I'm like, I am who I am, and you're gonna get who I am. I'm not gonna change for you. I'm not gonna, like, within reason, you know. I can't think of I'll do little changes, sure. But I'm not gonna change. I'm a sailor. I'm a burper. I'm a farter. I'm a silly goose. I'm here to have fun, and what you see is what you get, you know. Um, but I'm also a little bit hypocritical. When I first met my boyfriend, he did smoke cigarettes, and I did tell him, you know, if we're gonna get serious, we are gonna date. I'm not gonna be with someone who smokes cigarettes, you know. And he was like, you know, I don't want to smoke cigarettes. I do want to try to kick this, but what like Morgan said, like I said the same thing that you said. I want like if you're gonna stop smoking cigarettes, I don't want you to do it because you're doing it for me. Like I need you to do it for yourself, you know? And he is like a year and 6 months clean off his cigarettes now. So yay, he did it. But there's a lot of things that I wouldn't change. I don't want kids. I've never wanted kids. And conversations like that always need to be had in the very beginning of the relationship, so people aren't trying to change you or trying to make things different for you. I think anything that you're really
I very
100%
heavily agree with that.
for needs to be said
Those kinds of
in
conversations should
the
happen
first, 4 to
pre-relationship.
6 dates of a relationship, so everyone's on the same page. But yeah, for me, I wouldn't change myself for a partner.
I feel like if you change yourself, like especially like drastically for your partner, by the time like you end the relationship and you're out of it, you're not gonna recognize who you are anymore, and you're gonna be like, "What? Why did I ever do this?" Like, say like someone like started vaping because their partner liked it, and then you get out of the relationship, you'll be like, "Why? Why did I ever do that?"
I agree. Is like changing for yourself when it, because I feel like when changing, because I feel like for this one I was on the fence. I didn't exactly know, because I feel like good changes for the better are great. I mean, especially if in your relationship it's like, hey, I notice you have this bad habit. Can we talk about it and we figure out how to go about it?
Yeah.
I feel like that is one of the better ways that it's not exactly changing for yourself, but it is.
Yeah.
Because
But
it's a
yeah.
complicated
I
kind
think
of.
for the question, the way that I took it is more like, are you going to change like your hardcore morals, like your religion,
Oh no,
like,
fuck that.
Oh yeah, no,
stuff?
fuck that.
Yeah, yeah. And so for me, I was like, fuck that, no.
Mhm. And I did kind of leave these prompts very like open-ended, just so that you guys kind of can have those conversations and that sort of thing. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and move things along to the next prompt, if you don't mind turning your cameras off again. Our next prompt is, this one's kind of interesting. So, if you're single, that means that there's something wrong with you. Are there any agreeers? Okay, I had a feeling there weren't gonna be, but good, by the way, because if you are single, obviously there is nothing wrong with you. Okay, moving on. The next prompt is, I would do anything for my partner. If you agree, please turn your camera on.
What do you mean by anything?
That's up to you. That's why I have the prompt so open-ended. That's up to you.
I will not murder for him.
Never.
I will not get in. I would not get
That's on him.
into. Yeah, yeah. I will not get into. I will not do anything that gets me in jail, in trouble. I'm not even gonna do like those things that you see on like TikTok when they like go wedding crashing. I wouldn't even do that. I'm scared. But other than that, like, hey, if you need help, I'll be there. I'm here to support you. Not in the jail way.
I think like I'd do anything within reason. So it's like literally this week my boyfriend came and visited me for a few days. And I was really struggling with money because work just didn't pay me at all. So obviously like he paid for my meals, like he paid for like stuff for me. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna repay you back. And like if it was him in that situation, I'd be like, yeah, I can afford it. I'll do anything for you. But it's not like, oh yeah, you hate this person, I'll go stab them, kill them for you. It's like I'm not gonna do that. But it's just like it's a very, like you said, it's very open ended, and like it's also like interpretation of like what you would do. It's a very, it's like a trick question in a way.
A little bit. All right, disagreeers, go ahead and step up. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Let's start with Hunter.
I would not. I would not do anything for my partner if I ever get one, because yeah, I'm not doing drugs. I'm not committing any crimes. I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah, I feel like are we all kind of on like that same consensus of like
I
we
mean,
would do probably most things, but not bad things.
Yeah.
They were like, do this one line of
Yeah.
this white
No.
substance that we're not going to name,
mhm.
or we shoot your partner and your family. You're just going to get shot?
Yeah. My
I'd get
dad was
shot.
a drug addict. I can't be around drugs. I can't see drugs. I can't do it. Good luck. Some of my boyfriend's friends do some shady stuff. Some of some of the illegal stuff, and I'm like, it will not be in my house. I will not see it. And if the cops come, I'm rattling on every single motherfucker. I am not going to jail. Respectfully, I'm not going to jail. But also, I'm also a little bitch in a way. Like, my boyfriend will do anything and everything for me. But if I'm walking up the stairs and he's like, "Can you grab me a water?" and I'm already halfway up the stairs, it's probably a no, dog. I ain't want to go back down there, but that's just me.
I mean, I'd do
Sorry.
that. Just, you know, it's a bit of an inconvenience.
Yeah.
I don't want to become a person that I don't want to be because it's funny for you. If that, like, because, you all are saying, like, murder stuff, all these things, and, like, I get it, but, like, I don't want to watch an inappropriate movie. And that's nothing wrong with that, but that makes me uncomfortable. So the fact that I did because my boyfriend wanted to watch them, that wasn't okay. So I definitely would not want, I would not do anything for my partner anymore because I've learned that there's definitely things that I don't want to do. And if they really care about you, they will be able to respect that you have boundaries and hopefully appreciate it more.
Rudy, I saw that you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna add on to Morgan's. But also I feel like, again, like it's like if your partner is asking you to do stuff in the first place that goes against your boundaries, that's a problem in itself. Because that's why I went directly to like murder and shit. Like he's not gonna ask me to do anything against my boundaries. He knows I'll look at him and be like, huh? What? No.
Yeah, very well said.
Which is another reason that I think it's really cool that we all have these different experiences because obviously you guys are in these awesome, great relationships. And some people like haven't been in relationships and some people have been like a few of them, but like personally I'm definitely coming from the position of like I wasn't in like a terrible, terrible relationship, but it wasn't the best one either. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very nice that we all have these like very different
But
perspectives.
it's good that not that you were in that relationship, but that you've learned from it. And that, like what you just said, you were like, I will not ever do something like that again.
Being in a relationship is better than being single. If you agree, please turn your camera on. Go ahead, Morgan. What you gotta say?
I I could try to be a good person about this, but just the fact I'm an attention seeker. I am majorly attention seeking. And so I feel like a relationship in that respect is kind of like, obviously, out of a relationship, I could seek attention in ways that aren't healthy or aren't good for my self esteem or stuff like that. But like, a relationship is a healthy way that, like, if it's done right, you should be getting the kind of attention and things that I desperately, like, that I really crave in my just personality and things like that. So definitely, I would say, at least for me and my personality and the way that I am, I definitely feel like being in a relationship is personally better for being single, than being single, because like that really fulfills that kind of like balance that I need in my life.
It's nice to have a life partner, like someone to go through shit with. So you're not always alone. It's nice to have somebody who's like, this is gonna be hard, but we're gonna do it together.
For me, Riley, these questions have been so hard to
Mhm.
answer.
That was like kind of the
Um,
point. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay, and I think it made it a good conversation. But this question, it did take me a second to decide if I wanted to turn my camera on or not. Honestly, um, for me to answer this question, I would say being in a healthy, happy relationship is better than being single. Um, but it's hard answering that question just as being in a relationship is better than single, because no, that is not true. If you are in an unhealthy relationship, or if you're talking or dating with someone who's very red flaggy, or kind of like Morgan had said earlier, if someone's pushing your boundaries, making you do things you're uncomfortable with, no, it's not always better being in a shitty relationship than being single. I think people need to be comfortable and being happy to be able to be single and figure out who you are when you're single as well. So I feel like for me, I can't say yes or no, but I would say yes. If you're in a healthy relationship, sure, it's better than being single. But just the way that the question is, it's hard to give a yes or a no.
I kind of agree with like what Srin was saying about like this question kind of leaves it open for both healthy and unhealthy, and I feel like with that being said, like being in a health or an unhealthy relationship is not better than being single. But if we're talking about healthy ones, then it can be like as long as like everyone's happy, which I feel like that's usually what healthy relationship um means, you know. Um, but I think just the general statement, I disagree with since not every relationship is a good one.
Amen.
I obviously turned on my camera to answer that because, like, a relationship should be healthy. Not all relationships are, but that should be the standard and that should be the normal.
Yeah,
So that was,
absolutely.
yeah, that's why I kind of.
But if anyone takes any advice from tonight, I hope that if you guys are in an unhealthy relationship or you're not happy in a relationship, do not be afraid to be single. Being single is not the end of the world.
Absolutely. We can move on to the next prompt. The next prompt that I have says, it's hard being in a relationship. I'd love to hear from Fizzy if you don't mind. I know you're sick. I'm sorry. I don't want to force you to speak, but we
No,
haven't heard too
no, it's
much from
okay.
you, so I'd love to hear from you.
Can you repeat the
Um,
question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So the prompt was, it's hard being in a relationship.
Um, I think it's hard being in a relationship at times. Like even if you have really good like communication skills in the relationship, I feel like it is hard because you're still two different people. Like even if you have similarities, there are still differences that you're going to have. There's still arguments you're going to have, and having arguments is perfectly fine, but that is a part of being in a relationship. Because if you don't have the hard times, then when there is going to be a hard time that does potentially come up, you're not going to know how to handle it because you just agree with everything. And if you just become a person that agrees with each other just to get out of an argument, then you're not going to be happy because there's always going to be this like pent up like feeling of, hey, I didn't like this. And even with like, oh, you this hurt my feelings, like, and now you're trying to fix it and now you're trying to get better, that's still hard because now you're learning and you're trying to get rid of this like consistent like feel like thing that you've had and thing that you've grown up with. Like even when you have like a term in your head, like for example, I'm Californian and I say like a lot. um and it's something that's in your vocabulary. It's not something that you can fully get rid of. So when you're in a relationship and you're trying to grow and trying to not exactly fix but improve with each other, it's hard because now you're learning how to be with someone else. You're trying to learn to be with a significant other and a different person that's not your family, and it's weird. Unless you're in Alabama, then we don't know. But
I'd say it's definitely difficult being in a relationship, like incredibly difficult. Because personally, like I am an optimist, and I don't like talking about the negatives or things that are hard on me. I don't like talking about that kind of stuff. So like whenever I was in my first relationship, because I got my bachelor's in psychology, and so I very much know a lot of these things that you need to be open about and like express. So it was very difficult for me learning to be able to express any negative feelings that I had.
For me personally, I come from a very broken home. And I never really got to see like what real love and what a real relationship was, unfortunately. So in a whole, I think it is hard being in a relationship. Sometimes relationships with your siblings are hard. Sometimes relationships with your friends are hard. Relationships with your significant other is hard, you know? You're not always going to agree on the same things. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be fighting. And like I said, coming from a broken home, the second there's an argument or something's wrong, you almost want to run for the hills. Because like Morgan said, like it's really hard expressing your thoughts and feelings when it's the the sad, the emotional, the bad feelings, you know. And who said something about like just agreeing just to get the fight over? Was that Fizzy? It's sometimes I just want to be like, okay, yeah, you're right, let's move on. But I'm getting better at being like, no, bitch, you hurt my feelings.
And like, I'm not used to getting help for like when being upset. I've just been told, oh, cry, like stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about and stuff. Like that's how I've like, what I've heard like a lot. So I've like struggled a lot, but now I'm getting better at like saying, hey, I'm upset because of this. Can you help by like doing this, and maybe this? It's like if I'm upset over something, my partner will be like, do you want me to put you a movie on? Do you want me to put like YouTube on or something for you to like calm down to? And then when you feel more calm, we can talk it out why you're upset and how I can like properly help and stuff. So that's like my view on it. So it can be hard, especially with like communication, especially if you've like grown up like struggling with that kind of stuff.
Unless anyone else has something to say, I'm gonna go ahead bring up the disagreeers.
Life is difficult, so I'm kind of thinking about this from a standpoint of like, is it going to be harder than life, or like what like you already have to deal with like with everybody else, or is it going to like be kind of like that same level? And for me, I'm thinking that like if it's a good relationship, like yeah, like every good relationship is going to have argument, but that's kind of just like part of life and part of human interaction. And I don't really consider that to be like a hard thing to do. I mean it's a difficult thing to do. That's, I said that the wrong way, but like it's it's something that you kind of just like have to do, and I don't see it as like a hardship. I more see it as like a just like thing that you have to do. I don't know.
What about you, Hunter? What do you think?
So for me, I don't have any experience with the relationships. I don't know how hard it is. It's personally just much harder for me to get into a relationship. Period.
The next prompt we have is being in a relationship requires sacrifice. If you agree, please turn on your cameras. And I'd love to hear from Napo first, if you don't mind. I feel like we haven't heard from him in a little bit.
So I think it takes sacrifice just because, for example, a lot of maybe like time that usually would be like free time for you, or like maybe things like that, may go towards your relationship and being with that person. So you have to understand that um, you have to balance out your life a little bit better. But also, sometimes your person is not going to feel like 100%. So maybe they can only give 5% that day. So the other 95% needs to be you. And you just have to understand that no matter what, you agreeing to be in that relationship and be committed to it means that sacrifices have to be made. Not everything is going to go perfectly the way you want it to. Like life isn't perfect, so you just have to try to make it work as best as it can and communicate that as much as possible. And if you have to sacrifice some things in between that, it happens, but don't sacrifice you and your happiness just because you want to be with someone.
Yeah,
What you
sacrifice is
said
kind
about
of a
the
strong word,
5% and 95%.
but that's the word that I wanted to use
like
because
that
I
is
thought it
so
would spark a
important
good
in a
conversation.
relationship. Like being able to
Believe it or
recognize,
not, I actually put kind of,
they
thought
aren't
into the
able
prompts.
to do that much today.
I just see it as part of the relationship. I think there's going to be middle ground. Sorry, I'm reading chat. Compromising is a better term, I feel. But it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just part of being in a relationship. You're gonna have to take on some days more than others because nobody is 100% of the time. It is unrealistic to
Rudy
expect
has never
that.
spoken a lie in her life.
My partner, like, he pretty much works every day because he's self-employed and stuff. But like, he will like sacrifice not working for like 3, maybe 4 days just to like come visit me and like stay in Brighton with me and everything. It's like it's not a long journey either. Like compared to like how small like the UK is, um, it's like still a long journey to get from like where he is to me. And it's not cheap as well. It's like quite expensive. So it's like he'll sacrifice like his time, like working, and like he'll tell people like, oh, I can't like do meetings on like these days because I'm away.
Like
The
I
ones
play
that are
a lot of video
single
games, and I
are the
personally am
first
like
two that are
friendly,
lined
or
up,
like
which are
so.
Fizzy and Morgan.
Just like
And
that
the
kind of
ones who
like
are in a relationship and speaking
balance
from
and
that point of
stuff.
view
Yeah,
are going to be
exactly. It's
Aaron,
like
Fruity, and Nepo. Unless anyone has anything else to add, I will go ahead and bring up the disagreeers.
All of these questions, I could give an essay on yes and no on almost everything that has been asked. But I know that Riley did that on purpose because these are literally
Sure
open-ended
did.
questions. And again, like I think we can all agree, like the sacrifice word is a little off. That I don't know if that's the one word that we would use.
Very well said from everyone's point of view. The next prompt that I have is being in a relationship scares me. This is kind of a wonky one.
I think being in a relationship is scary because even if you're happy with each other, it's still scary. Like, what can happen? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because like I have really bad anxiety, so I'm always scared of like any sort of relationship, like anything ending. Like even friendships, especially. I'm just like, what if they hate me? Like, I'll message people
Just like
saying
me
like,
for real.
hey, I'm sorry if I was annoying you, or like if I was, like tell me what I could do, because I just have this constant thing of maybe I talked too much, maybe I like did something wrong. And like I know like that's not like a good thought process and I'm
I feel
self-aware
like
of
this
it,
low-key turned
but
into like
it's
a
still
therapy
like
session.
that's why I'm like scared of relationships.
I'm in that like same boat as Fizzy of like being just like really anxious and like paranoid that like I'm being annoying or that I've said something that to offend someone and that they like don't feel comfortable speaking up about it or whatever. And it's also like partially for me that I am just like paranoid of things going wrong and me myself not being able to say anything, even though like I do try to speak up when like things go wrong. I just kind of think back to like my first relationship when I didn't really do that, and I'm just kind of scared of that repeating. Um and yeah.
I'm like a big like overthinker. So like if I do anything like small or like my like partner's like mood changes, I'm like, did I do something? Have I done something wrong? If I've upset you, tell me. And I always have that like fear in like the back of my mind is like one day they can just wake up and decide they don't love me anymore and they will leave me. Like that
Just like
goes
me
like always
for
in the back of my mind,
real.
and I don't like let it affect me as much, but it's always there, and it's just like, what if it does happen? Like, what if I just wake up tomorrow and he's gone, he's not there anymore. Um,
Why does that make me
but like
like want to cry?
it scares me in a way of like I don't like I don't know. I don't think like really like I don't know how to word it. I think it's like as like longer it goes on, kind of it's like scares me a bit more because like commitment kind of scares me, but also it doesn't in a way because it's like I don't want to like put
I
a
agree with
full
Aaron.
100% effort into it if like I'm not gonna get that back. Like one day they can just fuck off the next day and find someone new like within a week. But it's like I'm like very happy to have like my partner who's like very loving and will reassure me whenever he can, like whenever I'm upset. It's like you did nothing wrong. I'm okay. You're okay. Let's just do this and calm down and everything. Especially like after the arguments. Like one argument was I genuinely thought like he was gonna like dump me there and then. But like we spoke it out and everything, and like that was like a really like scary thing for me.
I am terrified of rejection. Terrified of it. Like, it's not the whole being in a relationship that scares me. It's being terrified of rejection. Like, because
I took a shot before I asked my boyfriend out because I was scared of like him saying no. So I was like,
like,
if I'm gonna do this, I have to have a shot. I have to have something in me.
so I have only been rejected my entire life. That happening again and again and again and again and again and again terrifies me. That's why if I am interested in somebody, I don't talk to them about that. And like it's it takes a lot of convincing to get me to talk to them about that, and it's not the easiest thing to convince me to do things because I am stuck in my ways.
I'm in the same boat with the fuck rejection. That shit makes me shit my pants. So I mean, me and my boyfriend, we talked for 4 months before we started dating. Like, actually, like even going on dates. And he asked me out on my birthday, and I didn't realize, and I friend zoned him. It's scary that I didn't even think it was a possibility before I got in a relationship.
I have a very almost unhealthy lack of fear. I've
The
tried
singles are the
to,
first four, and the ones who are in a
play
relationship are the
things
final four.
very slow. Like, I am always 100% willing to like go through difficult things in order to make things work. So I have no fear. Like, if I'm in a relationship, I don't have a fear of like coming forward and make things work, because if I'm in a relationship with that person wants the same thing that I want. We both want this to succeed. So I understand, and hopefully they understand that like it's not going to be fun, but we're both going to figure it out.
For me, I'm scared of a lot of things. Rejection. I think almost every one of you guys talked about rejection. Um, I'm a people pleaser. I want anyone and everyone to like me, but people don't. There's certain people out there who don't like me. Um, but to me, it's different when you're in a relationship. Like trying to start a relationship is scary. Um, being broken up with and not knowing what to do with your life next is scary. But for me, the question is being in a relationship scares me, and being in a healthy relationship does not scare me. I know that there's a lot of what ifs, what happens, things like that. And of course, everyone,
For me
I know
personally,
Erin said,
regardless if the
at the back
relationship
of
is
her
healthy or
head
not, it's
that
scary
there's
for
always those
me.
what ifs, like as it is,
The
and then
cat's
find
leaving.
out what to do next. I can't let
Oh.
the fear of being scared or something like that affect my relationship, but I can definitely understand how being in a relationship is scary for other people, and I think there's a lot of different things to be scared about. But that's just it for me.
Very well said on everyone's parts. I agree. I kind of want to hop in here because there's something I heavily agreed on with what Aaron said. Like for me, it's like starting the relationship is very scary, but also once you're in it, it's for me personally because I do have like a lot of anxiety and hashtag trust issues. So, I do get the thought of, oh, this person might leave me. Like I do get that a lot as well, so I can relate to that.
I'm also like a people pleaser as well, so it's like I always want to make sure my partner's constantly happy with like if that's something I'm doing or if it's just something going on in like his life. I always want to make sure like he's happy and anything, and like I would put like his happiness before mine, but not like in a oh I'm not gonna look after myself. It's like I would much rather him be happy and be okay rather than myself, just because of that people pleaser like mindset.
Which is both ways though. Like, if yeah, that's totally okay to feel that way, as long as you have a partner who feels the
Yeah,
same way. That
yeah,
way you guys
exactly.
balance each other out. As long as both of you are being
Exactly.
looked out for, then it's perfect.
The next prompt that I have for you guys is I take relationships/dating seriously. Agreeers, turn your cams on. Disagreeers, you can keep them off. Yeah, looks like everyone does agree. Awesome. Is there anything you guys want to add to that?
For me personally, I have been on the side of like someone dated me just for shits and giggles. When I was younger, and I know that happens a lot in probably like middle school and high school, people don't really understand like the effects of dating someone just for fun and not realizing that this person is a human being with very valid feelings. Um, I think if you are gonna be friends with someone, or if you're gonna date someone, or if someone's gonna be in your life, you should take them serious and you should respect them. Put your boundaries out there because your boundaries are important. But be sure you know how to love the people in your life the way that they need to be loved, and make sure the people in your life are loving you the way that you need to be loved as well.
If you're just gonna do that because it's funny and it's like shits and giggles, like that's just kind of fucked up.
From my standpoint, I was homeschooled through all of high school. So I didn't have the kind of upbringing through high school of like where there were people who like that and stuff like that. So I am just like in the mindset of if you're in a relationship, it should be taken seriously. And so like the way that I viewpoint that is like it's almost disrespectful, at least at the point that we're at in our lives. Like unless the other person also wants it to be a temporary thing. If you both are just kind of like testing waters and you both are aware of that, I guess that's okay. The goal should be to have a future with them, in my opinion.
We'll go ahead and move on to our next prompt. And the next prompt that I have for you guys is long distance relationships don't last. If you agree, please turn your camera on. Go ahead, speak your mind, Napo. You have the floor, it looks like.
If only one of you is reaching out for like phone calls or texts, it doesn't really work. If only one of you is giving effort, it doesn't work.
I feel like there are like somewhat rare occasions where they can work, but I feel like it is very difficult. And like I don't know, maybe this is just coming from me from the standpoint of somebody who is like one of my love languages is physical touch. Like I just like not being near someone that I'm like dating is just kind of like a it's like a difficult thing, like not being able to just like go and talk to them or say hi to them or give them a hug or whatever. It's a lot different like seeing somebody on like a camera and like hearing their voice through like it's you're not actually hearing them, you're not actually seeing them, you're seeing just like a what is it called, like a synthesized, I think that's the word I'm looking for, um version like of them just through like technology and whatever, and it's like you don't really have that direct connection of like seeing somebody in the flesh, seeing somebody like 3D, like you just kind of see people on flat screens and you kind of hear their voices through like headphones or whatever. And like for me personally, this is just like a weird thing with me. Like I have a auditory processing disorder and like like electric sound, like artificial sound just doesn't like process as well for me, and it's just easier for me to listen to like people's voices in person, and I feel like that would be a difficult thing to just like be in a relationship where I'd only be able to hear like somebody through a device.
It's very situational and depends on the person and kind of what they want.
For me, I feel like if you live in the same house, even like if something's not working, it's not working. It doesn't matter if you're in the next room over or if you're oceans apart. Like you like everyone said, you have to put in the work to make it work. I feel like sometimes in-person relationships are a lot easier, and I will say that because you do get to see them all the time. You're living with the person sometimes, and that does make it a little bit, more quote unquote easier. But that doesn't mean if you are long distance that you're gonna crash and burn.
My parents at the beginning of their relationship were long distance for like I want to say like 2 3 years, and they've been married for fuck. How old am I? 23, 25 years. No, I was wrong. It's 27.
Like it definitely takes a certain kind of people because some people it just wouldn't work like with their personality, the way that they go about things, they just can't, you know, they can't do that kind of relationship. Um and there are definitely things that make it so much more difficult in long distance. Like personally, it's not my strongest, but one of my strongest love languages is physical touch. And so there were definitely challenges in my long distance relationship. If you want a long distance thing to work, you both have to be willing to put it in effort. It will not work if you don't put in effort. It will not work if you are just trying to figure it out, you don't know what's happening. I don't know, maybe I'd like this person. Like, you have to both really be committed if it's going to succeed. And you both have to put in a lot of effort and stuff. And sometimes it's really difficult. But I do think it can work. It's just not easy.
I've been on the internet for way too long. To the point where I've had like internet friends and like we've met up in person and like I was that whole person where I was like, oh my god, let's film us meeting and hugging for the first time and post it on Instagram to like a cutesy song and like that one song of like Break the Distance or whatever it was called. Like I was that person. I was like, you can make long distance like friendships work as well as relationships. Because like with me, for example, like me and my boyfriend, we were about a 2-3 hour like distance away from each other. Um, Whereas like now I'm at uni and I'm very lucky. The uni I decided to go to, I decided before I even like got with my boyfriend. But we're now closer in distance. It's only about like an hour-ish, hour and a half.
I think on top of that, just like how you spend your time. Like
Exactly.
if you're the type of person who likes to go on hikes or likes to do these specific things with your partner, then I don't think the long distance relationship would work for you.
Yeah. Like me and my partner, we both share a big like passion for like musical theatre. With him especially living on the outskirts of London, getting a direct train into London. Um, Pretty much every time I've been like stayed at his house for like a week or so, we have gone and seen a musical. Like the first time I went to London to stay at his, we both agreed on seeing a musical, and he was like, "You can pick what we go see. I want to go see something you like." So I was like, "Let's go see Rocky Horror Picture Show" because that was my favorite at the time.
It has to go both ways.
Our final prompt is being in a relationship is mentally exhausting. If you agree, please turn your camera on. If not, keep it off.
I think it depends. I'm very on the fence about this one. I personally think if it's like you yourself, your mental health is at like an all-time low, um, the relationship can get exhausting for you. Um, in the sense of like, I don't know how to word it. It's like if you can't. I've always believed in like if you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else in like a romantic way.
I feel like just anything that you truly care about and want to put effort into will be draining, just like emotionally or mentally. Like if you love your job, it can drain you emotionally or mentally. And I think if you like love or care about someone and you're putting a lot of effort into them and they're putting a lot of effort into your relationship as well, it can potentially cause you to be drained. It's not because like they're bad for you or anything like that, though that could potentially be a thing that is happening, but it is just because you loving and caring about yourself alongside another person can be a lot to deal with, but it's not a bad thing. And you just have to learn how to balance it and know how to, whenever you get drained, how to be able to bounce back, to recover, and to feel better afterwards.
You got to have that knowledge of like, say like one day like, oh, this is like really draining me. I need to like have time to myself. You need to like identify that and like be the next to be like, hey, like I still love you and stuff, but today I just need like time to myself to like be stressed, just calm down and like have your own space and just like take a day to like yourself, do like stuff you enjoy, like go on a walk or like go shopping or something. You can still love someone but still be like, hey, I'm very like mentally tired. I just need space.
I redact. I agree with Napo that anything. Shut up, Napo.
Damn it, guys! I think you guys got me. I think you guys got
I
me.
got you.
You guys are right. Damn it, Napo!
The longer your relationship goes on, the easier it will like be to talk to people. Be like, hey, this is like exhausting me out. I'm gonna go take a fat nap.
I kind of like approached this question like I approached the like being in a relationship is hard question. Like obviously, yeah, you're gonna get mentally exhausted from anything in life. Like that just happens, but like that's kind of just natural. Like I feel like there's kind of a level of things that you have to expect no matter what.
Very, very well said from everybody. Is there anything else anybody wants to add, just in general, not even for the prompt, just or is there anything you guys want to say to people who are in relationships right now, or maybe anyone who's single? Any advice? Yeah, go ahead, Fizzy.
If he doesn't like cats, dump him.
That's it.
If they ask you if they would still be loved if they were a worm, just say yes. Don't ask questions, man.
But also all of our feelings, all of everything is different. So we're all silly little streamers who decided to come on Riley Page's stream and was like, "Hey, we're gonna talk about like all of our feelings and stuff." Blah blah blah. We're different. We're all different people. Don't take our words by heart, please. And if you do, don't be an idiot. But
I-
yeah,
I like experiences that our relationships are our own. Don't be like, oh, that's gonna happen to me. It might, but it probably won't.
maybe.
It's our experiences, our relationships. You're not gonna
Uh,
be in our exact shoes.
I'm just gonna say it. I've never been wrong.
It's very hard to be in my shoes. 23 years with zero relationship experience. It's
Zero
wild.
bitches.
No
Damn.
bitches before.
If they play League of Legends and it's not for money, they're toxic.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a little platform to shout out whatever you want. I'll start from left to right on the stream, starting with Dizzy. Go ahead and shout yourself out. What do you do?
Hi, I'm Dizzy. I stream on Twitch. I'm silly. But yeah, my thing is what is it called? My username is Dizzy Dogs, DIZZYDOGGS.
Dizzy, what about you?
Oh, it's me. I'm PhysioX5 on every platform, everywhere, anything that you can see me on. I do podcasts on Spotify. I do YouTube. I do Twitch. I do TikTok. I also host a love dating show, but it's platonic. Yeah.
Love dating show.
Yep. It's called Fizzy Pop Show, platonic or parasocial.
Go ahead, Hunter.
Uh, you can find me. Just put in M Hunter 347 literally anywhere. It's probably me. But I'm the world's silliest goose. I play games that are sometimes good, sometimes not good. If I'm playing a game that's not good, it's because it's bad. I am aware that the game sucks. Just letting that be known. That's why I bought a bunch of games because they suck.
What about you, Morgan?
I'm Morgan underscore is underscore co on Twitch. I am a bad gamer. I'm bad at it, and I often get /J bullied all the time, and that's why our community is for. You guys want to watch me suffer? Definitely go check out my Twitch.
Lovely. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
Hi, I'm Erin. I have just announced me partially stopping streaming, to move over to YouTube content.
Oh, okay.
To do like to do like university and like lifestyle vlogs and stuff, because that's what I'm interested in.
Support women.
Guys, I love women.
I love women.
What about you, Fruity?
I'm Freaky's live on everything. I stream as well as I host a dating show called Love on the Line with some friends, and it's just a good time. We just goofy guys.
I run a company called Gamers Feud, and we basically host tournaments, game shows, and different events. We run some different game shows similar to maybe popular ones like Family Feud or like Jeopardy, but we put our own twist on it. Usually it relates to certain games